Fatal traffic accident in Tuen Mun. Opposition to licensing scheme involving subdivided homes. And the French president angry over report of an affair.
Good evening. A truck driver was killed in Tuen Mun today when his vehicle was struck by a container of another truck that overturned. The other driver was injured and he's been arrested on suspicion of dangerous driving causing death. Andrew Lau has our top story.
The deadly accident happened around noon. It left one of the trucks overturned on the central divider of Long Fu Road in Tuen Mun. The driver was trapped in the cabin. Firefighters were in a race against time to free the man from the wreckage. And medics rushed him to hospital. The driver of the other truck involved was certified dead at the scene.
One of the container trucks was driving along this Long Fu Road towards Long Ku Tan direction. As he turned this left bend, the vehicle went out of control and mounted the central divider. The container of this trucks flowed into the opposite lane and stuck a container trucks traveling in the opposite direction. The driver of the second container truck was instantly killed.
Police worked with government laboratory staff to establish the speed of the truck that overturned. Officers said it was carrying about 20 tons of plastic beads, which was within its permitted weight limit. The driver was later arrested on suspicion of dangerous driving causing death. On this part of the road traveling towards Long Ku Tan, there were initially a few traffic signs reminding drivers to turn. But when this container truck overturned, a number of those signs were swept down as well. Family members of the deceased driver arrived at the scene to mourn the victim. The accident forced the closure of Long Fu Road, causing massive traffic jams in the area. Andrew Lau, TVB News.
Housing Chief Anthony Jung says the public has reservations about the licensing of subdivided flats. It's one of the key issues being studied by a government committee looking into Hong Kong's long-term housing needs. Evelina Leung reports.
The Long-Term Housing Strategy Steering Committee earlier put forward a set of proposals for public consultation as it tried to come up with measures to meet the city's housing needs. Among the proposals, a target of 470,000 units in 10 years. The public consultation ended last month, and the committee today discussed the findings. A key focus, subdivided flats.
In the original consultation paper, it was recommended that the feasibility of licensing or landlord registration for subdivided units should be considered. Now, during the 3-month consultation period, we have heard diverse views on this recommendation from various quarters. Of course, as some of you have noted, there are certain reservations about licensing or registration. So in the consultation report, we will faithfully reflect those views.
But Jung did point out there is a consensus in society towards the government taking a more proactive role in housing supply. The committee will submit its report to the administration next month. Evelyn Online, TVB News.
There are now growing calls for the chief executive to change the system that uses money from staff's mandatory provident fund account for severance pay. Some even went as far as proposing the whole MPF scheme be scrapped. When the MPF was set up in year 2000, the government made a compromise with the business sector by putting in place the arrangement involving severance pay. This means employers can dip into their share of the MPF to pay out employees they lay off. Over the past decade or so, about $20 billion of the retirement fund was used to offset severance pay. With reports that the chief executive is now reviewing the system, labour unions are calling on the government to stand strong in the face of what they see as injustice. Speaking to TVB News today, Wong Kwok-kin of the Federation of Trade Unions said if Leung Chun-ying doesn't put his foot down on the matter, it will project a bad image to society that the government is afraid of the rich and powerful. Wong also pointed out that it's part of Leung's election campaign promise, so he has the responsibility to carry it out. Some went a step further, suggesting a universal pension scheme should replace the MPF.
Basically, we believe that there are currently many flaws in the MPF system. For example, there is the issue of the high administration cost. Also, the entire system of the MPF is actually dependent on a speculation market. We believe the implementation of universal pension is actually a system that could be implemented, and it could be a collectively responsible way of sharing the burden of elderly poverty and the issue of the old age problem in the future.
But Executive Councillor Cheung Chi-kong pointed out today it's very difficult for the government to balance the interests of different stakeholders. He said Wednesday's policy address will unveil many measures to benefit the public, but that there won't be any major surprises.
More than 240 houses were burned down by fire in an ancient Tibetan town in Shangri-La in Yunnan province. It took firefighters about 10 hours to put out the blaze in Dukezong, which began in the early morning hours today. More than 2,600 residents were evacuated. No injuries were reported, and the cause of the fire is being investigated. Dukezong was an important landmark on the South Silk Road. It's now one of the most renowned resorts in Shangri-La. The Philippines and Vietnam have condemned new Chinese rules that require foreign fishermen to seek Beijing's approval to fish in much of the South China Sea. The Foreign Ministry in Beijing responded by saying it has the right to do so. The rules took effect January 1st. A Foreign Ministry spokeswoman said China is obliged to protect the resources of its maritime territories. The country's assertiveness in pressing claims to the waters, believed to have oil and gas deposits, has unnerved its smaller neighbors. Vietnam and the Philippines say Beijing's claims infringe on their own exclusive economic zones. The U.S. also criticized China's move, calling it provocative and potentially dangerous.
The United States says it will comply with a demand from India for the expulsion of an American diplomat. The expulsion by New Delhi comes after one of its diplomats, Devyani Khobragade, was arrested and strip-searched by U.S. police. The charges and treatment of her caused outrage in India. She's now back in India. She has denied exploiting her Indian-born housekeeper with long hours and low pay and lying about it on a visa form. In an apparent compromise, she was granted immunity and allowed to leave the U.S. It was hoped that would be enough to save face for both countries. But yesterday, India asked the U.S. to withdraw a diplomat from the American embassy in New Delhi.
French President François Hollande is threatening to sue celebrity magazine Closer after it alleged he was having an affair with an actress. As Alan Bouknier reports, it's the same weekly tabloid that was criticized in 2012 for publishing topless photos of Kate Middleton, the Duchess of Cambridge.
The magazine published a series of pictures of the comings and goings outside an apartment in an upmarket area of Paris. The photos show a helmeted man it alleges is Hollande, and other shots it claims are of 41-year-old actress Julie Gaillet. A flat in the building is registered in the name of one of Gaillet's friends. While not denying the allegations, Hollande says he'll sue Closer for breach of privacy. The 59-year-old Hollande has never been married, but has 4 children from a previous relationship with Ségolène Royal of his Socialist Party. His current partner is 49-year-old journalist Valérie Trierweiler, seen here with Hollande during his 2012 election campaign. Gaillet is a moderately well-known film star who campaigned on Hollande's behalf in the last election. The French media face some of the strictest privacy laws in the world. Closer's editor, Laurence Piot, admitted the article may have infringed Hollande's privacy in a relative way, but she said many people already knew about the relationship, and if Hollande sued, he'd be the first French president to take that course of action against the media. The story comes at a time when polls show Hollande is the most unpopular president in modern French history for failing to tackle an 11% unemployment rate and a sense that he lacks authority. But French politicians have been known to have affairs in the past with little impact on public opinion.
Closer, je trouve que c'est ignoble comme magazine.
I think Closer is a revolting magazine, said this woman. There are more important issues in France than this one. This woman said Hollande has a right to a private life. Whether the story is true or not, it's pointless. Alan Booknia, TVB News.
And still ahead in our news. War of words heats up over political reform. New Jersey governor facing legal action in scandal over traffic jams. And a look at Mumbai's new airport terminal.